Hello and welcome to the Bonafide Basketball Podcast. We have a great show today, so stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, guys? Back here with the Bonafide Basketball Podcast. Jay Sauce here with Hot Rod. How's it going, Rod?
It's going all right. Just waiting for this game here to pop up on us later on.
Yeah, I know. When they got those, playoff games on the weekend, they always start late on the East Coast and early on the West Coast. They got to fix that. That's a topic for another day, though. Getting right into it today. Man, so we just saw some nice series wrap up in the East and in the West. Now we got our Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals set up. Out East, we got Boston and Cleveland. Then out West, we got Houston and Golden State. Getting started right into that, Cleveland just knocked off the Raptors to move on into the Eastern Conference finals. So, Rodney, we got a you decide question here for you. So, do you think it was a mistake firing Dwayne Casey?
I think it might have been a mistake. I'm not sure, because it's like, yeah, they won 60 games. Yeah, they won, the one seed coming into the playoffs, but maybe Dwayne Casey isn't the guy. But then again, it's probably like just the roster. Like, I feel like he's done a really good job with that team. So it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I can kind of see the firing, but at the same time, like, he kind of got like screwed.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, because what they waited maybe like one day after the series, and then, or maybe 2 days, because I think like the next day the coaches all agreed, hey, let's make Dwayne Casey Coach of the Year, which, if you look at their record, they probably deserved it. I mean, best record in franchise history, number one seed, like, no reason to not give it to him there. And then I think the very next day he was fired, and all these reports coming out that he was berated by Ujiri, their GM and president. So I don't know. I think personally, for the Toronto Raptors organization, it was a mistake, just because they're not historically a good franchise, and who knows how long this is going to last for them. Even though they're not making it to the finals or even Eastern Conference finals, like, in terms of relativeness to the Raptors, the Toronto Raptors franchise history, this is like the best season of their existence. And the last 3 seasons have been like 50 plus win seasons, which, for them is rare. And firing that coach, who knows if they'll have another coach that he'll step in and be as good and even be able to do the same with this team,
Yeah, and that's one of the big things with this. It's like, okay, I mentioned it before. You win 60 games, you completely change the way that they played, the previous couple years. And then you just meet LeBron one series earlier. Like, would he get fired if they got swept in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah.
Or just because they got swept in the semifinals? Because it's kind of, the Cavs had a rough year. They finished 4th. Had they finished 3rd, they would have met them in the conference finals. If they would have gotten past, I guess Philly, if they're the 4th, or Indiana.
Yeah.
And would he get fired if they got swept in the Eastern Conference Finals? Like, that's the question.
Yeah, I think the getting swept was the issue, honestly. You're right, because if they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, like, yeah, that's great, but if they're the number 1 seed and they still got swept, it's like it was a failure just the same. You know what I mean? So I agree with what you're saying. Like, what is enough? I think LeBron's just too much for them. They didn't have anybody that matched up in the right way to guard him. And then when it came down to it, if it was trading baskets, LeBron and the Cavs would score, but Toronto wouldn't score down the stretch. They didn't have, when DeRozan was out or benched, whatever you want to call it, he wasn't the closer for them. He wasn't having a great game anyway. And then, I think it was getting swept and benching DeMar DeRozan. That was probably the turning point where they realized that they had to move on from him, because they can't have that happening with their star player.
And the thing is, I saw something earlier about how Scottie Pippen was saying something, and I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense, and kind of why, Toronto can never get over the LeBron hump. It's like,
yeah,
you're DeRozan, you've lost to LeBron like in the last 3 seasons, in the playoffs, and they draft a rookie. Like, why wouldn't you take that challenge to guard LeBron, knowing you've lost to LeBron like 3 straight years? The rookie doesn't know anything, you know what I mean? And like, that's the thing, like, that separates, stars and superstars, where it's like, as it feels Kobe would be like, I want LeBron. Or
so true.
Even LeBron has that in him sometimes, where he's like, you know what, like, I go back to Miami days when they're playing Derrick Rose in the finals, or in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Derrick Rose was going crazy. I got Derrick Rose and completely shut him down. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's one of those things that separates like the greats from like dudes that are just remembered for a time period.
Yeah, no, that is a great point, because even though he's undersized, like, we saw the job that someone like Drew Holiday, he stepped up and he really tried to defend Kevin Durant in that series. And even though, Kevin Durant still had great numbers, like, if you watch the games, he was defending it as well as anybody could on that team, even though he was just a little shorter, and like, he just wasn't going to be able to block Kevin Durant's jumper and get a hand in his face enough to distract him from making it. But like, that's something where he stepped up, which was great. Like, that's what you want to see. DeMar DeRozan, he's only a couple inches shorter than LeBron. Obviously not as built, probably, at least 20-pound difference there or more. But, you still got to take that challenge. I agree. If he doesn't take that challenge, like, who else is going to do it? Nobody. So, all right, moving on. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Boston Celtics. So we know that they just moved on. They're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's great to see the organization bounce back even after those 2 horrific injuries this year, losing their 2 best players. But my question now is, did Marcus Morris just cost his team the series? And the reason I ask that, if you've been paying attention to social media the last few days, he came out in a press conference, or he was just interviewed, asked after practice, and he said something to the effect of, he believes that he's the second best defender on LeBron James besides Kawhi Leonard in the league. And so, Rodney, do you think he just cost his team the series by making these statements?
All right, I think he didn't cost them the series, because I don't think they have a chance anyways. 1 and 2, the thing that he did, the mistake that he made, was he gave like LeBron bulletin board material. Like, I think LeBron was gonna come in, his usual self, and just try to maybe coast through. But now, like, he basically just called LeBron out and basically just like tested his legacy in a sense. Like, I'm one of the best players to guard. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how LeBron should take it, and just do to Boston what he did to Toronto. Like, honestly.
Well, here's my thing. I'm like, so before the series, I was like, okay, Boston has a chance. Like, they're a great team, all this stuff. I still will pick them to win this series. But, like, why even say this? Like, why would you even give this fuel to LeBron to just even throw that out there? Because now he's going to come at you twice as hard. Like, and every time he's got you on him, he's thinking, oh, this is the guy who thinks he can guard me. Not a chance. But it's almost like I just don't understand the reasoning why you would ever say this. And what is there to back it up? If you're going to say that, you better come out with some stats. You better come out with something that proves you are the best defender. Because when I think of the best defenders guarding LeBron James, it is definitely not Marcus Morris. I'm thinking Kawhi, like he said, Kevin Durant, maybe someone like a Paul George. Like, I'm not thinking, oh, Marcus Morris. Yeah, LeBron stopper. What? So, I don't know. I think he might have just cost him the series, though, because he's just throwing out fuel for the fire.
I mean, I think he cost the series a couple games. Like, maybe this could have stretched out to 6 or maybe 7, but I think it's 5 now. I just think that the Cavs are going to try to, play their best, which they are playing right now. They pick like the perfect time to play their best brand of basketball. But just Morris just giving LeBron more bulletin board material. Like I just think he shortened the series for them. Maybe that's what he wants.
He's looking to get to summer quicker, or what?
I just don't see. I mean, I get it. Like, you want to kind of just instill confidence into your fan base, or even your own teammates, because you don't want to have that like Toronto mentality.
Yeah.
But at the same time, coming out and just saying, "Oh, I'm the second best, defender of LeBron." Like, what do you have to prove that shows that? I mean, he was on that Detroit team that played LeBron in the first round a couple years ago, and they got swept. So I'm not. Yeah, like, I'm not sure where he's getting where he's gotten this from.
Yeah, only time will tell. We'll see what ends up happening. But while we're on this, what's your predictions for this series? Who do you think's gonna win? How many games do you think it's gonna take? What's it gonna look like?
I'm leaning towards Cavs in 6. I want to say 6 because they might just lose that game in Boston, that game 5 possibly, and then just take it back home. Initially I wanted to say 5, but I think it might go 6.
So you got Cavs in 5.
Yeah, I'll go with 5. I got Cavs in 5.
Jeez, that's bold. So that means they're gonna win. You think they're gonna win 1 at home? I mean, one on the Celtics floor, right?
I think they'll win 1 of the 2 games in Boston, and then they'll win both at home, and then they may win Game 5. Like, Game 5 is depending on whether they close it out or it goes to 6. I don't think they'll lose Game 6 at home.
Jeez, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I got Celtics in 6, and I mean, I'm not saying this with all that much confidence, because how am I supposed to bet against LeBron, especially after watching what he just did to the number 1 seed in the East? So, but the reason I say that is just because this Celtics team, like, in a lot of ways, they are a really good team. Even though they're young, with their coaching, and I know everyone always talks about how great Brad Stevens is, and I agree. I mean, I'm not trying to just like exaggerate, because I think in some ways it's exaggerated now, kind of over the top, like, but I really think like adding this experienced coach who knows what he's doing, whether he's been in this position or not, his game plans are always up to par with the competition. So I think having that on their side will negate the fact that this is a young team, and I think it'll be pretty even. I think the Celtics are going to win their games at home and close it out in 6 games. So I think the Cavs will get 2 games, but I don't know. It's hard to say this because LeBron is going to come out now. He's probably going to score 40, 15, and 10, and then I'm going to look dumb picking the Celtics.
I mean, I think that's going to happen regardless. But I would understand if they had Kyrie and Hayward.
Uh-huh.
But I just don't think they have enough. Honestly, I just don't think they have enough to beat LeBron.
Yeah, I think it comes down to like firepower. Like sort of the
And
same issue that they had in Toronto was down the stretch. There's no go-to guy. Like LeBron James is the option down the stretch for the Cavaliers. On the Raptors, Lowry maybe. Oh, DeMar DeRozan maybe if he's in the game. And then this team, are they gonna go to Jaylen Brown? Are they gonna go to Jason Tatum, Terry Rozier, Al Horford? I don't know. So
yeah, that's one of those things. I mean, like you said, Brad Stevens is a good coach and he draws up a lot of good plays and stuff. But with them, they just don't have that guy, like the guy LeBron. And the way that Kevin Love has been playing a lot lately, if he continues to play that way, the Cavs are really, really hard to beat.
That's very
Kevin
true.
Love is honestly the X factor. Like if he's giving you 22 and 13, then that's gonna be a problem moving forward for like anybody who plays the Cavs.
And you know what that reminds me so much of? Chris Bosh back on the Heat when LeBron and D Wade were there. It wasn't necessarily LeBron and D Wade had to have excellent games, but if Chris Bosh did what he needed to do, if Kevin Love does what he needs to do, get hit. Like if Kevin Love or Chris Bosh has a 20 and 10 game, like the team is basically going to win. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are on that, but if they're having a good game, then usually the whole team does well as a whole. It'd be interesting. All right, moving on. So we got the Rockets and Warriors out west. We'll get to our predictions in a second, but before we do that, I want to ask you. Now, the Rockets were the number 1 seed, but the Warriors, they've been on a run the last few seasons. A lot of people still have them picked. But who to you is the underdog in this series? Is it the Rockets or the Warriors?
I think it's easily the Rockets.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's easily
Why
the
is
Rockets.
that?
I mean, one, the Warriors are the defending champs, so they really aren't the underdogs, whether they're the lower seed or not. It's kind of what you see on the other side with Cleveland and Celtics. Like Celtics are the underdog with the Cavs are the 4th seed. But with this one, it's also like experience too. Like this is Chris Paul's first Eastern Conference or Western Conference Finals, so it's hard for him to be like not the underdog in a sense. His first Harden, CP and D'Antoni have their choke artist demons in their heads, so they have that working against them. And the Warriors have been there, done that. So I think the Rockets are the underdogs. And also I forgot to mention how the Rockets, all they think about is Golden State. This team was literally built to beat Golden State. So with that coming in, like they're automatically the underdogs because they're the ones trying to beat the big brother. It's like little brother trying to beat up big brother, so it's like they're the underdogs for sure in my eyes. What do you think?
I don't know. Part of me wants to agree just because I think the consensus around the league is that the Warriors are the better team, but with the Rockets coming in as the number 1 seed, and that gives them an advantage. Like that gives them the home court advantage. They can go up 2-0, and I mean that's huge because then it's basically a must-win for Game 3, right? The Warriors have to win that, or they're down 3-0. Like the chance of coming back from down 3-0 are very slim statistically wise. Even if this Warriors team is great, maybe they could do it, but we're not going to get into that. But what I'm trying to say is I think just because of the 1 seed, the Warriors have to be the underdog because then now they're expected. They basically have to win one. Well, they don't have to win one on the road, but if they want any sense of security, they have to win one of these first 2 games, or they're going into Game 3 as this is like our Game 7. This is a must win because if you don't win Game 3, you're down 3-0. Come on. That's almost impossible even for this team. So I'm going to take the Warriors as like they need to almost play like they're the underdog and think that the Rockets are the not think that the Rockets are the better team, but play like they're playing against a better team so that they don't get complacent and think, okay, we'll just let the Rockets win their 2 games at home and we can go back once we get home, like it'll be fine. No, they need to think we need to steal one of these games or it's going to be really difficult. But if they steal one of those games, like the home court advantage completely turns. So I don't know. That's what I love about these playoffs with these home courts. These start like depending on how these first 2 games go, like can completely change the whole series, which I think is what we saw in the Raptors Cleveland series. The Raptors go down 2-0. It's like, okay, you have to win game 3 or it's over, and they didn't, and it was over. So, geez, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Warriors are the underdog in this series, even though around the league, I think there's a consensus that the Warriors are the better team. But not having home court advantage, I think, puts them at a disadvantage. So, yeah. Ooh, I got the Warriors in 6, just like the other series. I think the Warriors are gonna steal one in Houston, and then they're gonna win out at home. So, I don't know. It's interesting to see. We will see how these games go. I can't wait for the game 1 tomorrow night, and it really depends because, like a lot of the analysts have been talking about, these teams are similar in the sense that they like to shoot a lot of threes and play fast pace, but they're so different in that the Rockets are primarily a one-on-one team and the Warriors are primarily an assist-oriented offense. I mean, you just look at their assist numbers. You know, the Warriors are like number 1 or top 3 in the league, and the Rockets are bottom 3. And so it's just, you know, one of those things. I got the Warriors, man. How about you? Who are you picking?
I got the underdogs, my underdogs. I got the Rockets in 7.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I got the Rockets in 7. I think, you know, this is what they've been looking for like the whole year. They've been waiting for this moment. And I think they finally will break through. The one thing I'm a little iffy about is Kerr versus D'Antoni, because I'm not a D'Antoni guy. And I just feel like whenever he they ask him a question, he acts like he's never there. Like he's like, I don't know. Like, dude, you're the coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like he's kind of shaky to me. I feel like if the Rockets lose this series, I feel like a big part of it will be D'Antoni. But other than that, I mean, the thing that the Rockets have an advantage of that no other team really does is they're going to be the only team really able to really expose Curry. Because Curry's going to have to guard Harden or Chris Paul. And Curry, I mean, everyone knows Curry's like a great off-ball defender, you know, gets a lot of steals, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But straight on-ball defense, he's definitely the weak link in their like Hamptons 5 lineup or whatever. So, the Rockets will have that ability to, you know, expose that. And another thing with the Rockets too, they just have so many different scorers, so many different guys that can go off. The Warriors kind of have to rely on their top guys every night because their bench is a little, you know, although not up to par as it's been in the past.
Yeah.
Like they don't have their Barbosa, they don't have their Ian Clark, and Livingston's not himself. Iguodala's playing better, but he's still, you know, a little more washed up than he's been in the past.
Yeah.
And so their starters are gonna have to play better. But the Rockets, you know, they found Gerald Green off the streets. He could, you know, blink and give you 20.
Yeah.
They have Joe Johnson. He's a big shot maker. They have Eric Gordon, who's been struggling, but all it takes is, you know, one of these games for him to really get him going again. And if he's going, then the Rockets really, really do have like a good chance to beat the Warriors. So,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't even play Ryan Anderson anymore. So, even if he's one of those guys that if they do decide to throw him in there, he could hit a couple big shots, a couple threes, and score 20 as well. So they have a lot of different guys that can just score 20, like get hot and just score 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all the stuff you're saying. Just my thing is if they're gonna exploit Curry on defense, then I think that kind of like plays into what the Warriors almost want them to do. Because let's say he's guarding Chris Paul, or he's guarding like PJ Tucker, because I think those are like the two things they're gonna do. They're either gonna put him on Chris Paul, or they're going to move him onto the small forward, which if PJ Tucker's playing, like, that's fine. And PJ Tucker, what's his first thought going to be? Oh, let me baby this guy in the post. Well, if the Rockets, every player going to PJ Tucker in the post, I think there's not a chance they beat the Warriors. Like, not a chance if they're exploiting PJ Tucker. Like, he's not going to score every time. And I don't know. I just, like, if PJ Tucker's then their first option, or who else comes in at small forward? If they have Gerald Green come in, I think Steph would probably guard Gerald Green. Or Trevor Ariza, they might put him on there just because, you know, you don't see a lot of exploited post-up matchups that much in the NBA anymore unless it's a really small player like, you know, a center on a point guard, not like a small forward on a point guard. And then, I mean, if Steph is guarding Chris Paul, then yeah, Chris Paul's going to get some buckets. Steph's going to get his buckets too, but Chris Paul could put up potentially like 40 or something, which if he's putting up 40, that, you know, that puts the Rockets in a great position to win, but they still are going to have a 30 plus point game from James Harden then. And so, you know, it's just going to be so difficult. The Rockets are going to have Chris Paul and James Harden play lights out every game, whereas the Warriors, you know, they kind of can take their pick, whether it be Kevin Durant and Steph, Kevin Durant and Clay, Steph and Clay. Like, you know, you can kind of, only a couple guys need to go off per game. So we'll see with that. So you're picking Rockets in 7. Wow. And I'm picking Warriors in 6. All right. So one of the next things we're going to talk about is today is a very special day in basketball history, Rodney. On this date in 1961, Dennis Rodman was born. Now, I'm sure, obviously, you know Dennis Rodman. We watched him play growing up a little bit, and he's widely known all around the world, actually, especially North Korea. We'll get to that in a second. But he was kind of a flamboyant type player. He was always flashy with his hair. He always had piercings, and he's kind of controversial with some of his comments and different things that he did off the court. But at the end of the day, that man could play basketball. One of the best defenders of all time, one of the best rebounders of all time. At the height of 6'7", you know, he averaged close to 19 rebounds one season. 19 rebounds. 18.7 to be exact in the 91-92 season. That's insane by a 6'7" player, especially during that era when big men were very common, unlike today. So, congratulations, Dennis Rodman, for reaching another year of life. But that stirs me up with a question, Rodney. So Dennis Rodman was known as a good defender, a good rebounder, kind of had some attitude. That reminds me of a player in the league today, Draymond Green. So my question for you, Rodney, is who would you take on your team in their prime? Basically, who was better, Draymond Green or Dennis Rodman?
I don't think this should even be a question. Honestly. I honestly don't think this should even be a question.
Who you
obviously
got then?
Dennis Rodman. Obviously, Dennis Rodman should be the pick on who's better.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, look at this. The guy was 5-time champion on 2 different teams.
Uh-huh.
I mean, obviously, one of the teams he played with, one of the best players of all time, Michael Jordan. I mean, 7-time all defensive first team, 7-time rebounding champ, 2-time defensive player of the year. Like, I don't understand. I mean, Draymond may get another defensive player of the year, probably not. But 7-time all defensive first team, that's tough to beat. And he got all defensive team 1 year as well.
Yeah.
And just the rebounding champ, like, they're the same height, so it's not like, you can say, oh, well, Draymond is shorter.
Yeah.
Or Draymond is taller. They're the same height. And for him to average 19 rebounds in a season, like, today, if a guy averages 15 today, like, you're like, wow, what a great season.
Yeah.
He averaged 19 at 6'7". That's crazy. So, yeah, I'd take him. So, I'm getting a defensive player of the year and the guy that's going to give me 18 rebounds. How could you pick Draymond over?
Okay. Yeah, this is a tough one for me because, like, even though they're similar in, like, kind of their roles where they're definitely a role player, I think they're different in a lot of ways because, like, Dennis Rodman would never dribble the ball up, for example, and Draymond Green often dribbles the ball up for the Warriors. Dennis Rodman would virtually never shoot a three-pointer. He rarely ever even shot the ball. Draymond Green often, if he's open, will take three-pointers. Sometimes looks to score even. But yeah, looking at some of those numbers, Dennis Rodman, if you look at some of his career statistics, in the 91-92 season, 19 rebounds a game. The next season, 18 rebounds. The next season, 17, 16, or 17 again, 15. All, like, he's doing this over an extended period of time. It's not like he had one fluke season. And, but I think the reason I bring their differences up is Dennis Rodman's one goal on the floor was to rebound the ball. Granted, yes, he played defense, but on offense, he was thinking, I'm going to get this rebound if somebody shoots it because I'm not shooting it. So I think that helped him a lot. He was averaging like almost 6 offensive rebounds a game. That's insane. Like, that's like, for one individual player to do that, that's crazy. Some players don't even get 6 rebounds a game. He's getting 6 offensive rebounds. So, but with that, I guess I've been dodging the question. I think I'm like a sucker for the moment because I want to say Draymond just because he can do more overall. But like, if you have a team that where they already have players that can do all the stuff Draymond does, and you just need a defender rebounder, like, you gotta take Dennis Rodman. Like, I think on those Bulls teams, yeah, they had somebody who could dribble the ball up. Steve Kerr, John Paxson, Michael Jordan, obviously, Scottie Pippen even. So, having Dennis Rodman there, like, he didn't need to do any of that stuff, any of the playmaking. He just needed to rebound, dunk the ball, play D. Draymond Green, though, is asked to, he dribbles the ball, facilitates, sets screens, tries to rebound, which he's still a good rebound, but I'm going Draymond Green, dude. I just have to go with Draymond. Draymond's my guy.
I can't believe you just praised Dennis Rodman like that and take Draymond.
Okay, well, here's my thing. If you put Dennis Rodman on this Warriors team, who'd be better? With Dennis Rodman or with Draymond Green?
I mean, their biggest weakness is rebounding. And Dennis Rodman and Draymond's biggest asset isn't offense. His biggest asset to this team is their defense. And Dennis Rodman was just as good, if not better, as a defensive player. So it's like, you're getting the same defense and you're getting a way better rebounding, which is this.
But
team.
You're getting
like, could you imagine
offense.
This?
None. Negative.
No, you wouldn't. They wouldn't. I don't think they would need it, honestly. You have Kevin Durant, Curry, Klay Thompson, and if you want to, you can have Iguodala. He'd honestly be the small ball 5. And even though you wouldn't get shooting from him, could you imagine all the Warriors with countless offensive rebounds? Like, they'd literally have their Tristan Thompson, but super hyped up Tristan Thompson. Yeah. Could you imagine how many more point opportunities he'd create even though he can't shoot?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I think it just depends on the team. Like, if you need a team that needs other aspects of his game, like Draymond's game, such as some of his shooting and playmaking, then I take Draymond. But you're right. If you just need a specialist, like if you already got everything else and you just need that specialist, I mean, Dennis Rodman is the pinnacle of just hard-nosed rebounding and defense. Like, he will just focus the entire game on that. So, all right, I get it. All right, last topic of the day. This is kind of a quick podcast, but this is one we really need to talk about because it's my guy. It's involving my guy.
Sorry to cut you off, but there's just a notification saying that Marcus Morris is going to start today for the Celtics in place of Aaron Baines.
He's going to start at the 5?
No, he's going to start at... Well, they have Horford. Horford's going to start at 5.
Oh, yeah.
But he's going to start... They're going to start him to guard LeBron.
Oh, jeez. They're really putting... They're... Well, we'll see right away then if he's the LeBron stopper, won't we?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just had to make sure we had that in. But yeah, go ahead and finish what you're talking about.
Yeah, but so that'll be interesting. I can't wait to see that. But what I was gonna get was yesterday on social media, which I can't believe people find this out and track what other people are doing on social media, but that's another point. Kobe Bryant liked a tweet that said that anybody who knows basketball knows that Kobe Bryant is a more skilled player than LeBron James. So, the way everyone talks with social media and everything, like, this has become kind of a debate. Who do you think, Rodney? Do you think this was, like, first of all, do you think Kobe did this on purpose, like trying to send a message? And then, do you agree? Is Kobe more skilled, or what do you think?
Bro, I think that obviously Kobe knows what he's doing. He knows this is going to be tracked, or knowing that it's going to happen. Knows that it's going to be a big story about it. He's Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest of all time. But at the same time, like, before I answer that question, like, let's define skill. Like, what is considered skills? Because if we're talking like as an all-around basketball player, there's no one in the history of the league better than LeBron. They're better than LeBron. But in terms of skill, like, how do we define skill?
Well, how do you define it? How do you define skill?
Honestly, I mean, I feel like the different things that you bring to the game is a skill. I feel like, defense, rebounding, shooting, like, people try to throw in, his clutchness, Kobe's clutchness and willingness to take the last shot, but is that really a skill? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it's, like, hard to... So what does everyone define as a skill? And in my opinion, the only thing that Kobe Bryant really did better than LeBron, like, at the peak of their careers, was score and shoot. I think they're about even defensively. They're both, all defensive players. LeBron's a better passer, better rebounder. And those are pretty much, the main facets of the game. And Kobe had shooting and scoring over LeBron. I'd give him that. So, you know what I mean? So, like,
yeah.
LeBron technically sounds like he's the more skilled, but, like, it depends on how we define skill. So how would you define skill?
For me, skill, it's kind of like what you're talking about. But I think, especially when it comes down to the Kobe-LeBron debate, I think they're talking about skill as in, like, their individual moves and, like, their footwork, the fundamentals involved. Whereas, like, just do a little comparisons. Kobe Bryant, like, definitely, to me, had the best footwork of any player in the history of the game. Like, this man
I can agree.
He could be on the mid post, on the 3-point line, on the block. He could, do a spin move into a fadeaway or a spin move into a pump fake one time, wait for the player to jump, go up, shoot the shot, and one, and a foul. Or do the same move into a pump fake, get him up. They don't go up, pump fake again, finally get him up, then shoot. Like, I mean, his repertoire of individual offensive skills was like unmatched. So that's where I think this was mostly targeted towards. Like, I mean, if you start getting into the skills of the whole game and all around player thing, yeah, it's a different story, because it's like, oh, you count passing as a skill. Well, LeBron has this many more assists, so that he has to win that argument. But it's like, I think they're talking about like individual, like, you know, I think LeBron has a lot of help from his size too. Like, if LeBron's driving down the lane, he doesn't necessarily have to do contortion layups and put spin on the ball in certain ways that a lot of other players do. Like, for example, Kobe Bryant, a lot of times when he would drive in the lane, it's partly, you know, it's not LeBron's fault. It's just like Kobe might have to jump from one side of the lane to do a reverse layup and like spin halfway through the air, and it looks like so much more of a difficult shot. But then LeBron, he can just run down the lane, kind of push a guy off and get like a regular reverse layup, and it looks like, oh, Kobe Bryant is so much more skilled. Like, so I think in that sense it comes from a lot of Kobe Bryant's offensive skills, and then the fact that he wasn't as athletic or as big of an athlete as LeBron. I'm picking Kobe, and I think I agree. He definitely knew that this was going to get out. Like, why was he even looking at these tweets? Like, you don't just like a random tweet like that when you're Kobe. It's like with Kevin Durant a few weeks ago.
Yeah, with the whole Westbrook, like, you really thought you were going to get caught by, like, doing that. Like, you know what I mean? They know what they're doing. But the thing with, I want to get back to what we were talking about with the Kobe and LeBron. So, in a sense, like, in a vacuum, I'll have an opposite comparison to this. So would you say Kyrie Irving is more skilled than Russell Westbrook?
Oh, 1,000,000,000,000%. Yes. That is like one of the most clearest examples, because Kyrie's ball handling is tight and he doesn't use as much athleticism, but he can still finish at the rim just as well, or better, arguably. And that's because of using some of his touch off the backboard. Whereas Russell Westbrook, like, you just look at a one-on-one fast break. A lot of times Westbrook, he'll just overpower that guy and dunk on him. Maybe throw in a Euro step. Yeah. But then Kyrie, he's going to have to use, you know, a very defined Euro step, maybe into a reverse layup on one side and throw the ball up, and everyone's like, oh, what a finish. And I think that requires more skill to do that. So I'd say Kyrie Irving is much more skilled than Westbrook.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, the reason I come with this is Russell Westbrook's clearly a better overall player than Kyrie in terms of all the facets of the game, like rebounding, assists, etc., etc. So that's kind of where you look at it as a, you know, which skill are we defining? Like, offensively, yes, Kobe has LeBron. Kyrie has Westbrook.
Yeah.
But in terms of all the skills, they're not, you know, Kobe and Kyrie aren't more skilled than Westbrook and LeBron. Does that make sense? So it really depends on what you're defining the skill or that view or the perspective of that skill that you're talking about.
True.
And that's, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. I'm still going with Kobe. I still think, because, okay, you're gonna hate me, but Kobe could have been a better passer, but he didn't pass. He didn't want to. Like, he'd rather shoot it and score it rather than pass. Like, Kobe had a quote, I believe, like, Trevor Ariza recalled this quote at one point when he joined the Lakers, but Kobe said, like if he feels he has a better chance to make a fadeaway shot guarded by two people than one of his teammates does shooting an open shot. So why not shoot the fadeaway one instead of trying to pass to them and risk them missing it? So, like, I mean, I guess that
I think he should be penalized for it.
Huh?
He should be Well, that should, you know, that also benefits LeBron. Like, LeBron's willing to not take that fadeaway over two people and trust his teammate, and that's where his assists come in.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean Kobe doesn't have the skill to do that. Kobe could if he wanted. Kobe has some great passing highlights if he wanted to pass, but he didn't. He wanted to win, and in order to win, he's had to do what's best for the team. And what's best for the team is Kobe got to shoot the fadeaway. No?
Since we never...
No? We're not on the same page here?
I'm not buying it. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Oh, man.
Like, yeah, he could have been a good passer, and his passing numbers could have been higher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, LeBron is like a generational type passer, you know, and you're seeing a lot of that from Ben Simmons because he's coming in right away, like as a LeBron-like passer. And that's because he idolized LeBron. Like, that's his favorite player, you know, to watch and meet. And he signed with LeBron's agency. And it wouldn't be a surprise to see LeBron in Philly next season. But we could talk about that later on. But it's like his passing is like once in a generation. So even if Kobe was a good or a great passer, I still don't think it would be up to par with LeBron's passing. And LeBron is known as like a pass first person. Like, scoring's not even first on his plate. So that's what also makes him so great, because he's such a great scorer. He's not as great as Kobe or Jordan or whoever, but he is a great scorer, and that's not even first on his he's pass first. So
no, you make some good points. You make some good points. I gotta go with my dog Kobe though. That man.
Yeah, you're dying with Kobe. I knew.
Like, I will go down with the ship. Kobe. Like, there's no chance in an argument I'm not taking Kobe. Let's be real. But
I already know that.
So, all right. Well, that basically wraps it up for today. Great pod today, talking about these different things. I'm interested to see how these series turn out, especially the first couple games with the Warriors and Rockets and the Celtics and the Cavaliers. We'll probably check back in, hopefully have a podcast for you guys, checking in on some of those games. Thank you for listening. We're going to keep it up. Shout out LaFleur Media. Rodney's still continuing to work on that. We got that up and running. One of our sponsors. Bonafidebasketball.com. You can check that website out, find some more content, our podcast, articles, things like that. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and don't forget to rate us 5 stars on iTunes and Google Play, and follow Bonafide Basketball on Instagram, Twitter, and all that stuff, and LaFleur _media as well, and all that stuff.